Farewell. With those words, he spurred his horse and departed. Yan Yuking stared blankly at Fang Chen's retreating figure, glistening teardrops silently rolling down her cheeks. Martial uncle. Her voice cracked as she tightened her grip on the insights Fang Chen had gifted her. Though they had only spent half a day together, that encounter altered the entire course of her life, leaving her with memories she would never be able to erase for all eternity. She would never forget that there had once been a white-robed young martial uncle who had fought and defeated every single proud talent of the Supreme Sect for her sake. "Senior sister, what is that in your hand?" Zia Keoj asked curiously. Yan Yuking opened it with the utmost care, her tear-filled eyes brimming with warm affection. "It is the insights into the Tao of medicine that martial uncle gifted me." Zia Keoj leaned over to take a look and immediately became completely engrossed. Many of the medical Tao puzzles that had lingered in her mind for years were solved in an instant. It was only when Yan Yuking closed the booklet that Zia Keoj snapped out of her trance, still unsatisfied. She stamped her foot lightly and said petulantly, "Martial uncle is so biased. Why didn't he give one to me?" Yan Yuking was stunned. For years, this was the first time she had seen Zia Keoj, who was normally as indifferent as still water, show such a childish, girly side. Martial uncle's charm was truly far too great. She wiped away her tears, breaking into a smile through her sobs. "What's the rush? I never said I wouldn't share it with you. You can make a copy when we go back. Just make sure you don't damage this one. This is a gift from martial uncle, after all." Only then did Zia Keoj break into a delighted smile, pushing her impatiently back towards the divine physician peak. Now let us turn to Fang Chen, who had driven his spirit beast cart to the foot of the Supreme Sect. He had originally assumed he would have to wait several days for the other 3 partners assigned to the joint mission to arrive. To his surprise, under the rustling, dappled shade of the trees at the foot of the mountain sat 2 sword-bearing disciples. The man was handsome and dashing, the woman tall and striking. Judging by their attire, they belonged to the 10,000 Swords Sect. They too noticed Fang Chen from afar and asked tentatively, "May we ask who you are, sir?" Fang Chen directly showed his identity token and replied, "I am a disciple of the Azure Cloud Sect, here to carry out the spirit medicine escort mission." The looks on their faces relaxed. They stood up, showed their own identity tokens, and cupped their fists in salute. Lu Xinghe of the 10,000 Swords Sect. Qin Ke of the 10,000 Swords Sect. Fang Chen leaped down from the cart, took out his mission jade slip to cross-check. When the 2 saw him produce the jade slip, they were completely reassured. Each took out their own jade slip, and the 3 verified that all 3 were identical, confirming that they were indeed the assigned mission executors. Qin Ke was around 19 years old, with features as delicate as a painting and excellent bone structure, bearing the elegant grace of a classical beauty. When she saw Fang Chen, whose fair, supple skin was even more flawless than her own, she took an immediate liking to him. "May I ask for your name, junior brother?" Fang Chen hesitated for a moment, then answered truthfully, "Fang Chen." Fang Chen of the Azure Cloud Sect. She exchanged a glance with Lu Xinghe. They had clearly heard of this name before, though just like everyone else, the rumors they had heard were far from favorable. The affection in Qin Ke's eyes faded at a visible rate, and she said perfunctorily, "Oh, so it is junior brother Fang." "A pleasure to meet you." Lu Xinghe was far less tactful. He asked bluntly, "I heard you are a disciple with no spirit roots. Why would the Azure Cloud Sect assign you a mission? Are they not afraid you will meet with an accident halfway?" Fang Chen smiled slightly. "It is the sect's arrangement. I only need to follow orders." Lu Xinghe nodded and said, "I mean no offense. It is just that escorting spirit medicines is not a dangerous task, so it is fine for you to join. Just follow my orders on the road, and do not act recklessly. That is all." Seeing that he had spoken too bluntly, Qin Ke added from the side, "Senior brother Lu is at the 7th layer of the Foundation establishment realm. He should have been assigned a level 2 mission, but due to certain circumstances, he is taking on this level 3 mission instead. With him here, you can rest assured that the mission will definitely be completed successfully." She had emphasized Lu Xinghe's strength to make it clear that he was their team leader. Fang Chen had no objections and said, "Then I will have to trouble senior brother Lu and senior sister Qin to take care of me along the way. It seems we are still missing one person." As they spoke, a female disciple hurried down from the Supreme Sect. She was tall, slender, and delicate, with exquisite features and fair skin and long flowing black hair. Dressed in an apricot yellow long skirt, she drifted over like a slender, graceful butterfly. Barely a few steps into her run, she was already panting heavily, her cheeks flushed pink. Pardon me, may I ask if you are the disciples assigned to the spirit medicine escort mission? She inquired. Lu Xinghe looked at the delicately featured, pitifully demure young woman and smiled immediately. That would be us. I am Lu Xinghe, of the 7th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm. With me here, you may rest easy for the entirety of this trip, junior sister. The female disciple of the Taishang Sect wore a look of astonishment, and a tinge of unbidden delight spread across her fair face. With him present, this mission would truly be foolproof. She took out her identity token and spoke with a hint of shyness. I am Lu Xinghe of the Taishang Sect. Greetings, senior brother Lu. Xinghe was somewhat displeased with senior brother Lu's attitude and glanced Lu Xinghe up and down. The girl lived up to her name, delicate and pitiful, easily drawing the affection of men. Xinghe of the 10,000 Swords Sect, she said flatly. Lu Xinghe gave a polite, cupped fist salute. Greetings, senior sister Qin. Fang Chen spoke indifferently. Fang Chen of the Qingyun Sect. Lu Xinghe hastily bowed in salute. Greetings, senior brother Fang. Wait, she jerked her head up, staring at Fang Chen with an expression of utter disbelief, her eyes wide as saucers as if she had seen a ghost. What are you doing here? The reason she was late was that she had been watching that spectacular friendly match from the spectators' stands. Fang Chen's invincible bearing, the sight of him single-handedly cutting through the elite disciples of the Taishang Sect, was seared into her memory forever. She never dared to dream that this man, so breathtakingly talented that he stole her breath away, someone she had assumed she would never cross paths with again in her ordinary life, would actually be assigned to the same third-tier mission as her. Was there some kind of mistake? Her mind was in utter chaos. Having a teammate at the 7th layer of Foundation establishment already felt extraordinary enough. How had Fang Chen turned up as well? She hurriedly pulled out her jade slip, stammering, Did I join the wrong team? She could not help but suspect she had walked up to the wrong group of disciples. This team was more than capable of completing even a first-tier mission with ease. Lu Xinghe and Xinghe glanced at her in confusion. What was wrong with this woman? She had started acting strangely the moment she saw Fang Chen. The two of them pulled out their jade slips, and Fang Chen took out his own to cross-check as well. Once it was confirmed that Fang Chen was indeed on the same team as her, Lu Xinghe's mind went completely numb. Lu Xinghe asked in confusion, Junior sister Chu, do you know junior brother Fang? Lu Xinghe was somewhat afraid of Fang Chen. She stole a quick glance at him, stammering and unsure whether she should speak or stay silent. Xinghe was annoyed that she could not get a single word out, and pointed at the spirit medicine loaded on the carriage, saying, Isn't it obvious? Junior brother Fang went to the Taishang Sect to collect the spirit medicine, so they ran into each other along the way. Lu Xinghe thought it over. Though the excuse felt a little flimsy, it was hardly an important matter, so he did not bother asking further, turning his gaze to Lu Xinghe with a look of concern and solicitousness. Junior sister Chu, the journey to the spirit beast sect is long. I have prepared a mount specifically for fast travel. If you do not mind, you may ride with us, he said. He pointed to a horse-like spirit beast tied under a tree not far away. It was twice the size of an ordinary horse, with a wide, soft seat fitted on its back that could hold 4 people at once. Lu Xinghe nodded, then suddenly remembered that Fang Chen, whose strength was terrifyingly formidable, was also present, and hurriedly asked, What about senior brother Fang? Lu Xinghe had no intention of letting Fang Chen ride his spirit beast. He had rented it for 300 spirit crystals, after all. In his eyes, letting Fang Chen come along to complete the mission smoothly was already an enormous favor. Why would he let Fang Chen enjoy the spirit beast he had paid for out of his own pocket? Fang Chen spoke calmly, There is no need for me. I will escort the spirit medicine. He was somewhat speechless. Since they were tasked with escorting the spirit medicine, why would they get a separate spirit beast for themselves? If everyone rode the spirit beast, who would keep watch over the medicine, even if there was barely any risk along the way, what if the worst came to pass? He moved with a single leap, landing squarely on the back of the carriage horse. If someone of Fang Chen's status refused to sit on the spirit beast for comfort, how could Lu Xinghe dare to do so? She lowered her head and said, Senior brother Fang, I will come as well. She leaped onto the back of the last carriage's horse, standing before and behind Fang Chen as they jointly guarded the 3 carts of spirit medicine. Lu Xinghe's face stiffened for a moment. Xinghe took the chance to mock him. Look, junior sister Chu would rather bump along the road with junior brother Fang than ride with you. You went out of your way to be nice only to get snubbed. Heh heh. Lu Xinghe's expression grew even darker. He glanced at Fang Chen with hostility, then leaped directly onto the spirit beast, saying coldly, "Junior Sister Chu is young and ignorant of the dangers of the road. She really thinks this journey will be completely peaceful. As far as I know, a band of robbers is camped on the border between the Taishang Sect and the Spirit Beast Sect. Their leader, Black Lotus, is an expert at the 9th layer of the Foundation establishment realm." At these words, the sneer on Qin Kei's face gradually faded, replaced by a look of grave solemnity. She had heard of this bandit gang. All its members were disgraced outcasts from major martial clans and the 9 great sects, boasting powerful cultivation and profound mastery of cultivation methods. Every last one of them was a ruthless, fearsome figure not to be trifled with. High Lion Black Lotus, in particular, was once the crown jewel genius of the Taishang Sect. She was expelled from the sect for stealing cultivation methods from the Sutra Depository, and after turning to banditry, she gathered disgraced outcasts from all major forces across the 9 sects. Domain, her power is extraordinarily formidable. Even cultivators at the 1st or 2nd layer of the Golden Core realm would think twice before crossing her group, for even the strongest fighter cannot stand against overwhelming numbers. At this thought, Qin Kei shrank back, no longer daring to nurse her petty jealousy, and said weakly, "Senior brother Lu, it is a blessing we have you accompanying us this time, otherwise this junior sister would never have dared to take on this mission." Lu Xinghe smiled to himself secretly. He had only told half the truth and kept the other half to himself. High Lion's range of activity was extremely vast, so the odds of them running into her group were negligible at best. Several days later, they arrived smoothly at the border of the Taishang Sect, crossed the mountain ahead, and they would enter the territory of the Spirit Beast Sect. Over these past few days, seizing every spare moment during their journey, Fang Chen successfully cultivated the swimming dragon palm to its final layer. Its power was no weaker than the 2nd stance of Heavenly Crippled Finger. Purple Kai descends from the east. If he were to clash palm techniques with Lu Xinghe again, the tactic of wearing down his spiritual power would be completely useless against him, for a single palm strike would be enough to decide the victor. Hiss, without warning, the horse they were riding seemed to be struck by terror, suddenly rearing its front legs high and letting out a shrill, panicked neigh. Fang Chen staggered, nearly tumbling off its back. His heart sank. He immediately dismounted, hid behind the horse's body, narrowed his eyes, and scanned the surrounding area carefully. His unusual behavior alerted the other 3 members of the group. Lu Xinghe and Qin Kei immediately dismounted from their spirit beasts, concealed their figures, and quietly surveyed their surroundings. Chu Xingmeng also quickly jumped down from the carriage at the rear, bent low, ran to hide behind Fang Chen, and asked, "Senior brother Fang, what has happened?" Chu Xingmeng gazed around restlessly, her face full of unease. Fang Chen shook his head and said, "I do not know, but the horse was suddenly spooked for no apparent reason just now." The group observed their surroundings for a long time, but the area was deathly silent, with no trace of any abnormality to be found. Lu Xinghe lowered his guard, saying, "It was likely a passing small animal that startled the horse. Junior brother Fang, you are being overly nervous. You need to gain more practical experience in the future." Qin Kei heaved a sigh of relief at these words, complaining, "So it was just a false alarm. I was all tense for no reason." Fang Chen did not believe for a moment that it was a false alarm. The 3 horses were specially bred by the Taishang Sect. Though they were not spirit beasts, they were top-tier steeds of the highest quality. How could they possibly be spooked for no reason? It must have sensed some hidden danger just now. Gazing at the pitch-black mountain range stretching out before them, a sharp twinge of vigilance rose in his chest. He said, "Senior brother Lu, look at the mountain range ahead. The forest there is dense, and ought to be teeming with snakes, insects, birds, and beasts, but right now it is completely silent. This is highly unusual. I suggest we tour around this mountain range to be safe." Qin Kei's heart skipped a beat. If Fang Chen had not pointed it out, she would not have noticed anything amiss. When she carefully attuned her senses to her surroundings, she realized the forest ahead was indeed far too quiet. Let alone the sounds of roaming beasts, there was not even a single bird's chirp to be heard. Chu Xingmeng had seen Fang Chen's strength firsthand, and trusted him almost unconditionally. She said, "Senior brother Fang is right. I also think this mountain range feels eerie and gloomy. It is far safer to take a detour." Lu Xinghe frowned. After Fang Chen's reminder, he also realized the abnormality permeating the mountain range. But as the team leader, he had not noticed the problem himself, and instead it was discovered by the most insignificant Fang Chen, which made him lose face greatly. Chu Xingmeng's complete, unwavering trust in Fang Chen also stung his pride, stirring up a petty, rebellious impulse in him. Lu Xinghe said, "Junior brother Fang, do not scare yourself over nothing. Perhaps a fierce tiger passed by and scared off all these birds and beasts. With me here, do we have to fear even a mere trivial beast? What is more, taking a detour sounds easy, but it will add 5 extra days to our journey. The sooner we deliver the goods, the sooner we can take on new missions. We cannot afford such a delay." Qinke's delicate eyebrows furrowed slightly as she gazed at the forest ahead, a sense of unease coiling in her chest. She said, "Senior brother, I think we should follow junior brother Fang's advice. It is better to be safe than sorry. Spending a few extra days on the road is no great loss." Hearing that even his own junior sister was siding with Fang Chen, Lu Xinghe immediately felt his face burning with embarrassment. He said, "Fine then, you two take the goods and take the detour. I will go straight through this mountain range myself." With that, he jumped onto his spirit beast, left the rest of the group behind, and headed directly for the mountain range. Fang Chen and the two women looked at each other in stunned silence. Qinke stamped her foot and reluctantly chased after him. Lu Xinghe was the strongest cultivator among them, so following him was still the safest option. Fang Chen glanced at Choosing Meng again, sighed softly, and said, "Forget it, let us go through the mountain range. If something happens to them inside, I will have to undergo investigation when we hand in the mission Jade slip clearly states that all mission members must help and support each other. If any member dies without just cause, we have to submit an explanation to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion and accept their investigation. This process takes no less than 10 days and can even drag on for several months. I do not have that much time to waste, so I have to follow them to prevent any misfortune from befalling them." Choosing Meng was left speechless. Senior brother Lu is truly impossible to reason with. Fang Chen had also seen through Lu Xinghe's petty mindset and was equally exasperated. Fang Chen reminded her in a low voice, "Junior sister Chu, stay close to me later. If we run into danger we can handle, that is fine. If we cannot handle it, we will have no choice but to flee. But my movement technique, I can definitely escape while carrying you. As for Lu Xinghe and Qinke, they can only pray for their own good fortune." Then Fang Chen and Choosing Meng walked one ahead and one behind, driving the 3 carriages to follow after Lu Xinghe. Seeing that they had followed after him, a contemptuous smile curled at the corner of Lu Xinghe's lips. He thought to himself, "You put on such a tough act, but none of you have the guts to leave my side." He smugly led the way ahead. Lu Xinghe said confidently, "Rest assured with me here, even if ghosts and demons come, they will have to think twice about whether they can survive a single strike of my sword." Fang Chen paid them no mind at all. The moment he stepped into the mountain range, his vision dimmed rapidly. He tensed every nerve to the breaking point, keeping full vigilance over his surroundings. The deeper he ventured, the more he sensed the uncanny, oppressive stillness hanging in the air. There was not even the faint chirp of a single insect. Across the entire forest, only the huffing of the horses and the crunch of feet and hooves on fallen leaves and dry twigs could be heard. The silence was bone, chilling enough to make one's hair stand on end. Lu Xinghe also detected something deeply amiss. This was no effect of a tiger passing through the area, but rather the mark of an entity wreathed in dense baleful kai that had taken roost nearby. Regret welled up in him. It seemed there truly were terrifying dangers lurking in this forest. Fine beads of sweat seeped from his forehead, but he was caught in a predicament. He ached to turn back, but could not bear to lose face in front of the others. Fortunately, Qinke spoke up at that moment. "Senior brother, we cannot go any further. Let us retreat at once." She swallowed hard, a cold, gnawing sense of unease coiling in her gut. With someone else having broken the ice first, Lu Xinghe seized the chance to back down gracefully. He said, "Since all of you are afraid, I will not force you to press on. Very well, we will do as you wish." At those words, the group breathed a collective sigh of relief, immediately urging the horses to turn their carriages around. However, right at that moment, a sharp, piercing whistling sound cut through the dead silence of the forest without warning. Thanks to the utter stillness of the woods, Lu Xinghe detected it instantly. He immediately drew the orange-yellow longsword at his waist, slashing through the dark night in a single fluid stroke. The blade struck the incoming projectile with perfect accuracy, a clear metallic ding ringing out as the object was knocked to the ground. When everyone looked down, they saw it was an entirely purple metallic crossbow bolt, its tail carved with a tiny, delicate lotus imprint. Lu Xinghe's heart skipped a beat, his pupils trembling violently. It felt as if something was wedged in his throat, and he gurgled for a long moment before forcing 2 words out with great difficulty, "Black Lotus." No sooner had the words left his mouth than the dark, rustling shadows of the trees diagonally ahead shifted. A person had been hiding there, and she spoke in a rough, gravelly voice. "Oh, so you know who we are. That makes things much simpler." Fang Chen's heart sank further and further. There truly was an ambush laid here, and worse, there was far more than one enemy. With a loud rustle, thick pine clusters in several spots were thrown aside, and multiple figures rose from the ground. Several dark, shadowy figures also leaped down from the treetops one after another, quickly surrounding Fang Chen and his companions from all sides. Fang Chen quietly gripped his purple spirit sword, his gaze fixed on the female leader as she stepped out of the shadows. She appeared to be in her 30s, a tight leather suit outlining the curves of her graceful figure. Even with faint traces of time etched on her face, one could still tell how stunningly beautiful she had been in her youth. Her eyes held a flicker of shrewd cunning, along with a hidden, icy brutality. Black Lotus said, "They are actually disciples of the 9 sects, 10,000 Swords Sect, Green Cloud Sect, and even the Grand Supreme Sect. Brothers, our luck is unmatched today. We have caught a massive prize." She narrowed her eyes, a cold grin spreading across her face. When the bandits surrounding them learned that all 4 were disciples of the 9 sects, their eyes immediately lit up with greed, and they burst into unbridled, ferocious grins. 9 sect disciples are all loaded with priceless goods. I bet those 3 carriages are stuffed full of treasures, ha ha ha. Another bandit shouted, "You blind fools, how can trinkets compare to these 2 fresh, pretty female disciples? You lot can split the treasures. I'm claiming the 2 beauties for myself." Xinghe and Choosing, Meng's faces turned slightly pale, their hearts sinking into their stomachs. The difference was that Xinghe clung tightly to Lu Xinghe, back in terror, while Choosing, Meng hid behind Fang Chen. Sensing his steady, powerful aura, she felt a small measure of calm settle over her. Normally, Lu Xinghe would have been consumed with jealousy, but he had no time to care about such trivialities now. He gritted his teeth slightly and shouted, "We are acting on the orders of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, performing an official escort mission. Black Lotus, you had best be clear about what you are doing. If you provoke the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, there will be no place in heaven or earth for you to run." The moment Fang Chen heard this, he secretly cursed inwardly. How could you lay all your cards on the table right at the start? This move completely eliminated any room for negotiation or maneuvering. Sure enough, the smile on Black Lotus's face gradually faded, and a dangerous, cold glint spread across her eyes. She said, "You have just reminded me, haven't you? If I let you leave alive, wouldn't I be cutting off my own escape route? I originally only intended to rob you of your belongings and let you go. But for my own sake, and that of my brothers, I can only ask the 4 of you to forgive our rudeness." Lu Xinghe's face turned livid in an instant. It turned out Black Lotus and her followers had no intention of killing them at first, but his clumsy threat of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion had instead brought a death sentence down on all their heads. He was racked with regret, but had no choice but to raise his sword, blustering as he said, "If you want to kill us, you will have to pay a bloody price too." With that, he unleashed the full spiritual power of the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment Realm. When Fang Chen saw this, he wanted to kick him flying on the spot, cursing inwardly, "Are you a brainless pig? Black Lotus is a bandit who kills without batting an eye. If she wanted to kill us, she would have struck directly instead of wasting time talking to you. The only reason she hasn't attacked immediately is that she doesn't know our combined strength and has misgivings." But Lu Xinghe had to go and reveal his strength directly. He is nothing more than a useless disaster of a teammate. When Black Lotus sensed his cultivation, she realized he was only at the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment Realm, and could not help but sneer in contempt. She said, "Turns out you're just a little whelp at the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment. Then I have nothing to worry about. All brothers above the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment, attack. Leave no survivors." Of the 8 bandits surrounding them, 4 immediately charged forward. The remaining 4 martial artists with cultivation below the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment retreated several steps, holding crossbows and aiming steadily at the group. If anyone tried to escape the encirclement of the 4 attackers, the crossbow bolts would cut off their escape route instantly. Their division of labor was skilled and seamless, honed by countless raids. Only then did Lu Xinghe realize that Black Lotus had been intimidating him just now to force him to reveal his strength. He was racked with guilt and regret, but had no time to dwell on his mistake. A burly iron tower, like man wielding a madhao, came charging like a feral beast, leaping into the air and slashing down at Lu Xinghe with terrifying force. Lu Xinghe's face changed slightly, and he immediately unleashed his sword technique, trying to block the blow. However, the moment their weapons clashed, a feeling as if a mountain was crushing down on him struck. The longsword in his hand was pressed hard against his own shoulder, the back of the Modao sinking deep into his flesh, making Lu Xinghe gasp in agony. That was not all. The enemy twisted his Modao, and the sharp edge sliced directly toward his head. Lu Xinghe was terrified out of his wits, and in the moment of crisis, he burst out with all his will to survive, raising his sword to push the blade upward. The Modao only grazed past his scalp, shearing off a large chunk of his hair. Though both were at the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment realm, Lu Xinghe, who had been raised and trained within the safe confines of the sect, was nowhere near the strength of this opponent, who had survived countless life and death battles. They exchanged several blows in quick succession. Lu Xinghe narrowly escaped death multiple times, and the longer he fought, the more panicked he became. What was worse, there were 3 other 7th layer Foundation Establishment experts, as well as the far more powerful Black Lotus, waiting idly on the sidelines. Ice ran through his veins, and seizing the split-second gap when he pushed his opponent back with a sword strike, he decisively leaped like a leopard into the dark dense forest beside him. He did not care that the thick, sharp thorns scraped his face and neck until they were raw and bleeding, running for his life with every ounce of strength he had. He did not even spare a single glance for his junior sister, Xinghe, leaving her to her fate. The Modao-wielding bandit lifted his blade to give chase, but Black Lotus wore a playful expression like a cat toying with a cornered mouse. "I will catch this one, you deal with the rest." With that, she flicked her cloak and vanished into the dense forest in a blur. As for the remaining 4 7th layer Foundation Establishment bandits, they wore ferocious, greedy grins as they closed in on Fang Chen and the 2 terrified female disciples. The Modao-wielding bandit let his burning, greedy gaze roam wantonly over choosing Meng's alluring figure. He licked his lips and exclaimed excitedly, "None of you dare fight me for this woman." The remaining 3 bandits at the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment realm halted their steps with lecherous grins, watching idly as he strode forward with his blade raised. He marched right up to choosing Meng, then his gaze turned icy as he spotted Fang Chen standing in her path. He lifted his blade and sliced out Blind Fool. However, the Modao had barely sliced through midair when its momentum faded rapidly, before finally clattering loudly to the ground. The 3 7th layer Foundation Establishment bandits froze, their expressions shifting drastically only when the Modao-wielding bandit clutched his blood-gushing neck, collapsing to the ground and twitching uncontrollably. Fang Chen stood holding a blood-stained black sword, a cold indifference on his face. So they were just a bunch of 7th layer Foundation Establishment bandits. That simplified things greatly. Lu Xinghe was far from the only one who had revealed his trump cards. In Fang Chen's eyes, all of them exposed their full strength the moment they made a move. Aside from High Lion, whose power remained unknown, none of the bandits before him posed the slightest threat. Xinghe was dumbfounded. Glancing between the fallen, motionless Modao bandit, then back at Fang Chen, whom she had never even deigned to look at properly before, she felt as if she were trapped in a dream. Choosing Meng, by contrast, felt her restless heart settle completely the moment Fang Chen drew his sword. She knew she was safe now. The other 3 7th layer Foundation Establishment bandits finally snapped back to their senses, their faces twisting repeatedly as they yelled, "He's the hidden expert in their group. Hurry, attack him. Together, don't give him a chance to pick us off one by one." Though flustered, the 3 moved in perfect sync, launching a coordinated attack on Fang Chen from 3 directions at once. Fang Chen held his single sword, activating his movement technique to dart nimbly among the 3, spectral split sword, sunrise over the Azure Sea, stars falling from heaven. Every single strike he unleashed ruthlessly claimed the life of one bandit. When he struck the 3rd time, the last remaining bandit shrieked in terror, retreating madly as he roared, "Hurry, shoot him dead." But before the outer bandits could even fire their crossbows, the stars falling from heaven's strike sliced through his back, severing his head from his body. Seeing how terrifying Fang Chen was, the bandits on the periphery did not dare to keep fighting and scattered in all directions to flee. Fang Chen's eyes turned cold, and he gave chase with his sword raised. With his movement technique, how could these bandits, all below the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment realm, possibly escape? In mere moments, their corpses lay strewn haphazardly across the surrounding ground. After slaying the last bandit, Fang Chen tore off a piece of their clothing to wipe the residual blood off his sword, then sheathed it. He leapt onto the carriage without a trace of emotion on his face and said, "Let's go. Continue on the journey." Choosing, Meng quickly climbed onto the other carriage, obediently cooperating to drive the horses forward. Xinghe hesitated for a moment, then looked towards Fang Chen, a faint plea in her eyes as she asked, "Aren't we going to look for senior brother Lu?" Fang Chen replied indifferently, Senior Sister Qin may go look for him on her own. Junior Sister Chu and I still have to continue carrying out our escort mission. Farewell." He squeezed his legs lightly, and the horse under the carriage surged with strength, pulling the compartment forward to continue the journey. Panic seized Qin Kei's heart. How dare she go look for Lu Xinghe? She didn't even dare to stay in this place, for if High Lion returned, she would certainly die. So she quickly climbed onto her spirit beast and chased after them at full speed, thinking silently to herself, "Senior Brother Lu, don't blame us. Blame yourself for abandoning us first." A short while later, the mountains and forests shook. High Lion returned, one hand dragging the heavily injured, blood-covered Lu Xinghe. She called out, "Brothers, is the job done? Gather your things, we're withdrawing." Her words cut off abruptly as the sea of corpses came into her view. She dropped Lu Xinghe in a hurry, stumbling over to the Mo Dao, wielding Bandit and shaking his body violently. "Hailong, Hailong." Only as she pushed him did she notice his clouded eyes filled with deep unwillingness, the scabbed gash on his neck, and the pool of blood soaking the ground beneath him. He had long gone cold. She went blank for a moment, then scrambled hurriedly over to the corpses of the other 3 7th Lair Foundation Establishment bandits, Taitu, Duanshu. She rushed to check each one, hoping to save even a single brother, but without exception, all were dead, killed cleanly with a single sword strike. No chance of survival left for any of them. What happened? Why are all my brothers dead? Tears welled in High Lion's eyes as she roared towards the sky, her rough voice echoing through the dead, corpse-strewn forest, sending a bone-chilling chill through the air. Lu Xinghe glanced at the devastating scene, swallowing hard. Taking advantage of High Lion's daze, he quietly shifted his body to escape, but his footsteps caught High Lion's attention the moment he moved. Boom, Lu Xinghe's vision blurred, and a fist slammed into his chest, nearly shattering his ribs. The next moment, High Lion's hand clamped tightly around his neck. "How did they die? Speak!" High Lion roared, completely lost to her rage. Lu Xinghe's face turned bright purple from suffocation, and he forced out with great difficulty, "How would I know?" High Lion threw him violently to the ground, then stepped on his chest, her killing aura surging to the heavens as she roared, "Is there a hidden expert in your group? Otherwise, there's no way my battle-hardened brothers could have been killed in such a short time." She had accurately deduced that there was an expert among them. Lu Xinghe, however, said, "No, I swear, it absolutely wasn't one of our people. My junior sister Qin Kei is only at the 5th layer of Foundation Establishment Realm. Taishang Sect disciple Xing Meng is also only at the 5th layer of Foundation Establishment Realm. As for King Yun's sect disciple Fang Chen, he doesn't even have a spirit root. I doubt he's even reached the Foundation Establishment Realm. The one who killed your brothers must be a passing expert." Watching him swear so solemnly with no trace of deception, Black Lotus could not help but doubt her own conjecture. Could this truly be a passing expert? But on second thought, even putting aside how suspiciously coincidental this expert's arrival was, the fact that Fang Chen, the 2 female disciples, 3 carriages, and 1 spirit beast had all vanished without a trace was irrefutable proof that they were inextricably linked to the deaths of her men. "Regardless of whether there is a hidden expert in your party, take me to them at once. If you fail to find them, I will gouge out your eyes and cut out your tongue," Black Lotus snarled viciously. Now Fang Chen had traveled without rest the entire way, spending half a day to finally cross the mountain range and step into the territory of the Spirit Beast Sect. Having left the dark, oppressive forest behind and gazing out at the endless grasslands, both young women felt the overwhelming relief of having escaped a deadly calamity. There's a caravan heading our way up ahead." Chu Meng, who had sharp eyes, suddenly spotted a vast, imposing procession of spirit beast, drawn carriages at the edge of the grasslands, coming towards the mountain range where they stood. Upon hearing this, Qin Kei immediately drew her long sword and focused her mind on God, while Chu Meng also assumed a defensive stance. Fang Chen, however, thought briefly and said, "Don't panic. This is most likely the forces of the Spirit Beast Sect. Spirit beasts are extremely rare across the lands of the 9 sects. Even the Azure Cloud Sect does not have a single spirit beast. The only faction that can assemble an entire caravan drawn by spirit beasts is the Spirit Beast Sect." Sure enough, as the caravan drew near, a group of women in flowing, colorful, eye-catching robes riding spirit beasts came into view. Their attire was unmistakably that of the Spirit Beast Sect. "Who are you people?" Mounted on the leading spirit beast was a slightly older female disciple who stared at the group with wary eyes. Fang Chen and the others took out their identity tokens. They announced their identities: Qin Kei of Myriad Sword Sect, Chu Meng of Grand Supreme Sect. Learning that they were disciples of the 9 sects, she relaxed her guard. Glancing at the 3 carriages behind them, she roughly understood their purpose. A gentle look crossed her face. I am Zhang Zumu of the Spirit Beast Sect, just like you. I am also on a mission. Upon hearing the name Zhang Zumu, Qin Ke and Chu Xing, Meng quickly jumped off their carriage, stepped forward and bowed. Greetings, Senior Sister Zhang. Fang Chen was bewildered. Was this Zhang Zumu very famous? Why did the two women respect her so greatly? Fang Chen, however, remained seated on his horse. His action of closely guarding the carriage naturally drew Zhang Zumu's attention. She asked, "Are you from the Azure Cloud Sect?" Fang Chen cupped his hands in a salute. "I am Fang Chen of the Azure Cloud Sect. Greetings, Senior Sister Zhang." As soon as his name was spoken, Zhang Zumu's face showed shock. "You are Fang Chen." The 6 female disciples in flowing colorful robes behind her immediately perked up, all standing up at once to gaze at Fang Chen with intense curiosity, chattering among themselves. "That's Fang Chen of the Azure Cloud Sect. We actually get to see him in person today. He's so fair and handsome, even more delicate looking than us. No wonder the sect master keeps thinking of him and mentions his name all the time. Exactly. Who wouldn't be smitten with such a pretty young master?" Qin Ke and Chu Xing were stunned, especially the latter. She only knew that Fang Chen possessed extremely high cultivation strength, but she never imagined that Fang Chen was so famous in the Spirit Beast Sect, and seemed to be extremely popular among its female disciples. One must know that the Spirit Beast Sect is composed entirely of female disciples, who are naturally averse to male cultivators. Very few male disciples have ever earned their universal favor. "Cease your impudence." Zhang Zumu lightly scolded to stop the chattering disciples, then stared at Fang Chen and said coldly, "Junior brother Fang, you are deeply favored by my master. You must certainly possess extraordinary secret techniques. No, I imagine the mission you are undertaking is at least a level 2 mission, same as mine." As a direct disciple of Gong Kei, she knew far better than disciples from other peaks how highly her master praised Fang Chen. Ever since her master returned, she would mention Fang Chen's excellence at every turn. When teaching cultivation methods, she would speak of Fang Chen's talent, saying that if her disciples had even half of Fang Chen's comprehension, she would have a far easier time. When teaching sword techniques, she would sigh that Fang Chen's swordsmanship attainment was so profound that none of her own disciples could compare. When spending vast sums of money to buy spiritual medicines, she would lament that none of her disciples were as promising as Fang Chen, who could refine his own medicinal pills. In short, over the past month, Fang Chen's name had been mentioned so often that she was sick of hearing it. What made her and her fellow senior sisters even more frustrated was, in Gong Kei's eyes, they were utterly worthless compared to Fang Chen. Now that she had finally met Fang Chen in person, how could Zhang Zumu have a good attitude? How could she not want to test her strength against his? She wanted to see for herself just how she, a peak foundation, establishment realm, 9th layer genius of the current era, could possibly be inferior to Fang Chen. If she did not determine who was superior today, she had no intention of letting Fang Chen leave. Fang Chen picked up on the dissatisfaction in her tone and felt completely baffled. This was his first time coming to the Spirit Beast Sect. He had never provoked anyone here, had he? To avoid conflict, he said humbly, "Sect Master Gong is far too kind in her praise. My aptitude is mediocre. I am not capable of undertaking a level 2 mission like Senior Sister." Mediocre aptitude? Chu Xing, Meng's body swayed, and she nearly fell to the ground. If your aptitude is mediocre, there are barely any people in the entire world with good aptitude. Zhang Zumu huffed coldly. "There is no need to be modest. My master may appear gentle on the surface, but she is inherently extremely proud and rarely praises anyone. For her to mention your name constantly, you must certainly have exceptional talents. Tell me, what mission are you undertaking? Let us compare." Fang Chen complained endlessly in his heart. "Gong Kei, oh Gong Kei, why did you have to keep mentioning me for no reason?" At this moment, Fang Chen was as innocent as could be. It was a classic case of disaster falling from the sky, even when one stayed peacefully at home. He sighed helplessly and said, "I speak the truth. The mission I am undertaking is a level 3 mission. How could it compare to Senior Sister's level 2 mission?" Level 3? Zhang Zumu was stunned, and the female disciples behind her also showed expressions of disbelief. The person their master had praised to the heavens should at least have been assigned a level 2 mission, or even a level 1 mission, right? Could it be that we were right all along? Master only likes him for his handsome appearance. They could not believe that the incredibly talented genius their master spoke so highly of had only been given a level 3 mission. Zhang Zumu, who had originally intended to properly compete with Fang Chen, was completely thrown off. She only came back to her senses after a long while, staring at Fang Chen up and down in shock. Even she could not make sense of the situation. She muttered under her breath, I truly have no idea what Master sees in you. Since the Azure Cloud Sect assigned Fang Chen a Tier 3 mission, they naturally took his limited strength into consideration. This indirectly proves he is far from outstanding, and the Azure Cloud Sect surely knows its own disciples better than Master does it not? She harbored deep doubts that Gong Kei had formed a grossly mistaken impression of Fang Chen. At this thought, all the desire to compare herself to him vanished completely from her heart. She spoke with evident disinterest. They say no man lives up to his reputation for nothing, but it seems that is not always the case. Very well, you may focus on completing your Tier 3 mission. Very well. She patted the head of her spirit beast, urging her party to follow the mountain path deep into the range. Fang Chen was both amused and exasperated, until he noticed they were escorting a pack of demonic wolf spirit beasts meant to be deployed to the frontline battle, and his heart skipped a beat. He recalled the earlier words of the Black Lotus robbers. They had seemed rather surprised to encounter Fang Chen and his group. That meant their ambush target was not Fang Chen and his companions in the first place. Glancing again at the extraordinarily precious demonic wolf spirit beasts, it dawned on him. The Black Lotus gang was waiting for the spirit beast sect's escort party, and Fang Chen's group had simply had the misfortune of stumbling straight into their ambush perimeter. Hold on, senior sister, Fang Chen called out to her hastily. Were the details of your mission kept strictly confidential? Zhang Zumu reined in the spirit beast she was riding, turning her head to stare at Fang Chen warily. What do you mean by that? Fang Chen spoke in a solemn tone. When we passed through this mountain range, we encountered the Black Lotus bandits, who occupy the border between the two sects. They are lying in ambush on the only path on the other side of the mountains. I believe their target is likely the demonic wolves you are escorting. These demonic wolves are all fully tamed. Not only do they obey human commands, but their combat prowess is also exceptionally formidable. If the Black Lotus bandits seize them, their strength will increase dramatically. Black Lotus. The disciples of the Spirit Beast sect had naturally heard of the bandits occupying the nearby area, and a wave of unease swept through them immediately. The leader of the Black Lotus is a martial artist at the 9th layer of the Foundation establishment realm. He was once a disciple of the Grand Supreme sect and mastered many of its secret techniques, making him extremely powerful. What is more, he has 4 Dharma protectors under his command, all at the 7th layer of the Foundation establishment realm. Only Senior Sister Zhang can hold her own against them. If we run into them, we will be nothing more than lambs to the slaughter. Silence, Zhang Zumu snapped, her gaze fixed intently on Fang Chen. Junior brother Fang, are you certain you did not see wrong? If the Black Lotus really was lying in ambush in the mountains, she would have to consider taking a detour. Otherwise, she alone would never be able to fend off all these bandits. Chu Xingmeng felt rather indignant on Fang Chen's behalf. They had targeted him the moment they met, as if he owed the Spirit Beast sect something. She immediately cupped her fists in salute and said, Senior Sister Zhang, our senior brother Fang has not only met the Black Lotus bandits, he has slain all of them except for their leader. The female disciples of the Spirit Beast sect behind her were all stunned on the spot, Fang Chen alone. Even Zhang Zumu was frozen in shock for a long moment. Before she could process this earth-shattering news, the Black Lotus bandits came and went without a trace, and their strength was formidable. The Spirit Beast sect had launched several suppression campaigns against them, all ending in failure. Now they were claiming Fang Chen had single-handedly slaughtered all the Black Lotus members, leaving only their leader alone with no subordinates. How could that be possible? Even she would never be capable of such a feat. She spoke with a note of sneering mockery. It seems the female disciples of the Grand Supreme sect have learned to lie for others. How truly surprising. Let us move out. Clearly, she had concluded that Fang Chen was deliberately lying to frighten her out of spite for her earlier harsh words. The rest of the female disciples also deeply doubted the claim, so they followed Zhang Zumu onto the mountain path without hesitation. Fang Chen opened his mouth to speak, but Qin Kei, at his side, felt his efforts were wasted. She said, Junior brother Fang, you have done everything you could. If they are determined to throw their lives away, let them. We only need to focus on completing our own mission well. If anyone else had treated her so rudely, she would have been delighted to see them meet misfortune. But Fang Chen had warned them out of kindness, yet they thought he was lying to them. They were practically courting death with their own stupidity. Fang Chen knew he could not persuade them, so he did not bother trying. He immediately whipped his horse and set off. Zhang Zumu heard Qin Kei's words, and her face darkened. She snorted, The female disciples of the 10,000 Swords Sect are no better either. Both of you look like you have been enchanted, helping Fang Chen save face like this. If there are Black Lotus bandits in these mountains, I'll stand on my head. The words were still on her lips. She suddenly trembled all over, her pupils constricting violently. On the mountain path in the distance, a woman clad in tight leather armor, her face brimming with baleful kai, was sprinting over, carrying a blood-soaked young man in her hand. Jiang Zumu did not recognize the young man, but she had seen the woman's portrait countless times. This was none other than the leader of the Black Lotus bandits, jointly wanted by the Spirit Beast Sect and the Grand Supreme Sect. Black Lotus, she drew a sharp breath, hastily drawing her longsword. She shouted at Black Lotus, whose killing aura shook the heavens. Black Lotus, how dare you? You even dare to rob the belongings of the Spirit Beast Sect. Unexpectedly, Black Lotus paid her no heed at all. When she spotted Fang Chen's Spirit Beast carriage not far away, she immediately erupted with heaven, surpassing killing intent, casually hurling Lu Xinghe violently toward Jiang Zumu before charging rapidly after her target. Jiang Zumu hurried to catch the thrown Lu Xinghe, but the moment she touched him, she felt an overwhelming, unbearable force that knocked her to the ground as well, leaving her sprawled flat on her back. Her face twisted with horror. Golden Core Realm. Black Lotus has already broken through to the Golden Core Realm. The outside world had always believed her to be at the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm, but in truth, she had long broken through the shackles of the Foundation Establishment Realm and reached the Golden Core Realm. Only now, in her raging fury, had her hidden cultivation base been revealed. Fang Chen also detected a wave of killing intent approaching rapidly. He immediately leaped off his horse, drew his sword, and gazed behind him. He saw Black Lotus charging over, her face twisted with killing fury, roaring, "Whoever killed my brothers, get out here. If you keep hiding, I'll slaughter all three of you." Staring at the deranged she-devil, like Black Lotus, Qin Ke, and Chu Xing, Meng trembled violently. She had caught up far faster than they had expected. What was more, her cultivation realm had reached the Golden Core Realm. Black Lotus's gaze skipped directly past Fang Chen and the two women, landing on the 3 carriage compartments tightly wrapped in canvas as she roared, "Come out! You dared to kill my men, but you don't dare to show your face." Fang Chen twirled his sword in a graceful flourish and said calmly, "Is there a possibility that I am the one who killed all your brothers?" Jiang Zumu, who heard these words from afar, jumped in shock and cried out, "Is he insane? Boasting in front of us is one thing, but how dare he spout such arrogant nonsense in front of Black Lotus? Can't he see she's completely out of control?" Several female disciples were also extremely nervous. "Senior Sister Zhang, are we just going to stand by and watch her kill Fang Chen? If Master finds out we stood by and did nothing to save him, she will definitely not let us off lightly." Jiang Zumu was furious in her heart, slamming her fist hard into the ground. "Let's go. Head back and stop Black Lotus." Just as that junior sister had said, Master doted on Fang Chen greatly. If she found out that they had stood by and watched Fang Chen die at Black Lotus's hands, she would certainly punish them severely. As she scrambled to her feet, she snarled viciously, "If any junior sister dies trying to save him, I will never spare him." At the same time, Black Lotus was also stunned by Fang Chen's words. Her killing intent, filled eyes glared fiercely at him. "You, get out of the way, let the real culprit come out." She would rather believe that Qin Ke and Chu Xingmeng, both at the 5th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm, were the culprits, than accept that so many of her brothers had been killed by a person with no spiritual roots. Fang Chen took a deep breath and said, "Senior Sister Qin, Junior Sister Chu, step back. A fierce battle is about to break out." Both were at the Golden Core Realm, but Black Lotus, who had lived her life walking the edge of a blade, was definitely far stronger than Hua Xingchen. If he wanted to kill her, he would have to go all out. Once the great battle commenced, he would no longer be able to control the situation in the surrounding area. Qin Ke's eyes showed reluctance, and she gritted her teeth slightly. "I'll help you too. If Fang Chen dies anyway, Black Lotus is highly unlikely to spare me. I might as well assist Fang Chen. There might still be a sliver of hope for survival." Chu Xingmeng also saw that Black Lotus's strength was definitely above Hua Xingchen's. Back then, Fang Chen had needed over 200 moves to defeat Hua Xingchen, and the victory had been hard won. Now that he was facing Black Lotus, how much chance of victory did he have? She immediately drew her elegant, snow-white longsword, standing shoulder to shoulder with Fang Chen. Meanwhile, Black Lotus, who had been waiting for the hidden expert to show himself only to receive no response, finally lost her patience. Frigid, baleful, Kai flickered in her eyes. "Fine, you won't come out, right? Then I'll kill one first, and see if you show yourself then." She cast a casual glance, fixed her gaze on Fang Chen standing at the very center, and snapped sharply, "You love showing off your prowess. Then you're the one. A sharp, slicing swish cut through the air. A pitch-black, razor-sharp curved blade appeared in her palm. Tapping the tip of her foot against the ground, she lunged straight toward Fang Chen. Zhang Zumu, who was still leading her group mid-journey, spotted High Lion attacking Fang Chen from afar. Her face drained of color instantly as she shouted from a distance, "Stop!" High Lion paid her no heed at all, the dark, curved blade in her hand slashing mercilessly toward Fang Chen's neck. This sight made Zhang Zumu and the numerous female disciples' pupils constrict violently, their minds screaming in unison, "It's over. We can only wait for Gong Keiyi to fly into a furious rage now." However, what left them stunned in the next moment was that Fang Chen's combat prowess was extraordinary. The blade edge, which seemed to streak across like a bolt of black lightning, failed to sever Fang Chen's neck as easily as they had expected. On the contrary, Fang Chen gripped his black sword with both hands, blocking the strike effortlessly with a single parry. The two metal weapons clashed, letting out a loud, resounding clang. High Lion immediately revealed a look of surprise. Though she was consumed by rage, she still had control over the strength of her strikes. While that previous blow was not her full power, it was not something a mere disciple without a spirit root could possibly block. She grew furious at once. She had intended to kill someone to establish her authority, yet she couldn't even kill a spirit root, less wastrel. Preposterous. Let's see how many blows you can block. She leaned forward with the momentum of her strike, the tip of her curved blade stabbing violently toward Fang Chen's face. Fang Chen remained utterly calm, dodging the blade tip while tilting the black sword in his palm upward in a diagonal thrust aimed at her lower jaw, forcing High Lion to retreat backward. Zhang Zumu snapped back to her senses, then urged excitedly, "Hurry, move faster. Fang Chen can't hold out for more than a few exchanges." She had never expected Fang Chen to have such skill, capable of trading 2 or 3 blows with High Lion. If he could hold on a little longer, they would arrive in time to rescue him. High Lion's face shifted slightly. Though their prior exchange did not involve any complex techniques, it was a true test of real-time combat reflexes. Fang Chen's seemingly simple movements of ducking his head and thrusting his sword upward would be impossible to pull off without exceptionally rich practical combat experience. At this point, High Lion began to take Fang Chen seriously. She looked Fang Chen up and down and said, "You do have some skill, but this ends here." She brandished her black curved blade, suddenly surging with spiritual kai, but before she could even activate her cultivation method, Fang Chen struck first, unleashing the light-splitting sword. Strike! Since his opponent had underestimated him, why would Fang Chen let the opportunity slip? His strike carried the force of a thunderbolt, the power of this sword strike formidable enough to slay any cultivator at the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. High Lion's face changed drastically, only now realizing she had committed a fatal mistake, underestimating her enemy. Damn that Lu Xinghe, didn't he say this male disciple from Qingyun sect was a useless spirit root, less wastrel? With no time to think further, she hastily raised her blade to block. A clang of metal colliding rang out alongside the thunderous roar of the sword technique, and High Lion was sent reeling backward 2 steps from the impact. She had intended to counterattack the moment Fang Chen's sword form ended, but Fang Chen did not pause at all. His second strike followed immediately, the sunrise over the Azure Sea, then the third strike, starfall across the heavens. One powerful sword technique after another shook High Lion's tiger's mouth until it went numb, and she could barely grip the curved blade in her hand. But how could High Lion, who had risen to the position of bandit leader, be an easy foe? Seeing that she would be forced to take passive hits if this continued, she moved her tongue under her lip, spitting out a tiny iron bead hidden at the base of her tongue straight toward Fang Chen's face. The hidden weapon came without warning, swift and fierce. By the time Fang Chen noticed it, the iron bead was already inches from his face, impossible to dodge. At this critical juncture, he struck out decisively with a finger, activating the purple kai coming from the East secret technique. A blindingly powerful purple beam burst forth from between his 2 fingers, piercing through the iron bead in an instant. With a loud boom, the iron bead exploded on the spot, sending countless tiny, sharp iron hooks flying outward. If it had exploded at close range against a person, these hooks would have buried themselves in the victim's flesh and blood, inflicting unbearable agony. The purple beam did not lose momentum after piercing the bead, grazing past High Lion's shoulder. Its immense power gave High Lion a terrible fright. At this moment, how could she not understand? The expert she had been searching for was none other than Fang Chen before her eyes. She was overjoyed to have finally found the culprit, but worried that she might not be able to exact her revenge. In the same instant that she dodged this finger strike, Fang Chen closed the distance between them once more. High Lion flew into a rage. Enough. You think you can keep overwhelming me in battle? A golden core realm powerhouse being pushed around by a mere 7th layer foundation, establishment realm cultivator. She seized the only gap she had and struck decisively. High Lion unleashed the black shark subdues the sea, while Fang Chen cast starfall across the heavens, slashing out with his sword. The former was a high-rank, profound-level cultivation method, the latter an earth-rank cultivation method. When they clashed, neither could gain the upper hand. High Lion was shocked to her core. Even when she used her full techniques, she could not do anything to her opponent. But as a bandit, her greatest strength lay in killing techniques, and cultivation methods were only one part of her arsenal. The instant their moves collided, she lifted the tip of her foot and kicked fiercely toward Fang Chen's thigh. A 1-inch-long steel needle protruded from the sole of her boot, its surface suffused with a purplish, black hue clearly coated in lethal venom. Fang Chen's eyes turned icy. His opponent had resorted to hidden weapons time and time again, so he would no longer hold back. He let out a low shout instantly, the blood kai in his body roiling until his entire form was dyed crimson, with large plumes of white steam billowing off his skin as if he were a steamed crab. The moment the hidden weapon struck toward him, he advanced instead of retreating, closing the gap between the two of them before abruptly spreading his legs apart, causing Black Lotus' kick to stab. Thin air. Black Lotus let out a cold sneer, the tip of her foot following the momentum upward, heading straight for Fang Chen's groin vital point. If that strike landed, Fang Chen would certainly die. Yet, much to her surprise, Fang Chen's legs moved as fast as lightning, clamping together violently. With a crisp crack, Black Lotus felt as if her ankle had been caught between two charging wild bulls colliding head-on. The incomparably enormous force snapped her foot clean in an instant. Hiss, she grunted in agony, letting out a sharp cry of pain. But her reaction was extremely swift. She swung her curved blade backward toward Fang Chen's neck, and Fang Chen immediately released her leg, stepping back several paces. Black Lotus looked at her right foot, which had been snapped clean off, and cried out in shock. You actually cultivate both arcane arts and physique. Not only is your spell cultivation exquisitely refined, but your physical prowess is also this terrifying. What's the point of asking so many questions? Fang Chen did not waste any words, immediately charging forward with his sword in hand. When dealing with a bloodthirsty golden core realm cultivator like her, giving even the slightest breathing room could mean his own death. Black Lotus' face twisted with ferocity. Very well, you've pushed me to this point. You may die without regret. She immediately dropped her black blade, rose to her feet with a limp, and stared at the oncoming Fang Chen. Raising both palms, a cold, ruthless glint in her eyes, she struck fiercely at Fang Chen from a distance, unleashing the ghost shark palm. The instant her palms struck out, Tuing, Black Palm Prince appeared, hurtling toward Fang Chen in the blink of an eye. Zhang Zumu, who was nearly at the scene, caught sight of this move, her pupils shrinking drastically as she yelled urgently, Fang Chen. Dodge quickly, that is an earth-grade palm technique. Her heart hammered wildly in her chest. Who could have guessed that this Black Lotus not only concealed her golden core realm cultivation, but also hid a lethal killing move in this earth-grade palm technique? Her black blade and saber techniques were nothing more than a ruse to mislead others, making enemies believe her greatest strength lay in saber arts while overlooking her true trump card. But that warning came far too late. The two-pitch Black Palm Prince had already arrived. A smile spread across Black Lotus' cold face, as she could already envision the scene of Fang Chen's chest being pierced through. Yet to her shock, her face stiffened as Fang Chen also tossed aside his long sword, rapidly raising both palms with a playful smirk on his face. What a coincidence. I too am quite skilled in palm techniques. The moment his voice fell, he struck out with his palms, unleashing the final form of the roaming dragon palm he had mastered not long ago, Dragon Annihilation. As he struck with both palms, a deafening dragon roar erupted from his palms, and an incomparably fierce palm force surged forth, roaring like a wandering divine dragon. In the blink of an eye, the two incoming Black Palm Prince were crushed to smithereens. The roaming dragon palm force did not slow in the slightest, slamming fiercely into Black Lotus' chest. Black Lotus' chest jolted violently, and the clothes on her back shattered with a loud ripping sound. She stood frozen in place, bright crimson blood continuously pouring from her mouth, her eyes filled with utter disbelief. This single palm had pierced straight through her chest from front to back, and had even shattered her heart on impact. She could not fathom why her infallible killing move, which had slain countless powerful foes, was useless against the youth before her. On the contrary, she had been killed by a single strike. How is this possible? All strength left Black Lotus' body, and she crumpled to her knees with a heavy thud. Fang Chen picked up the black sword, walked over slowly, and said calmly, "Not long ago, there was another person who used palm techniques as a hidden trump card. Unfortunately, he lost me too. He was also a golden core realm cultivator, just like you." What Black Lotus was stunned. This youth before her had already defeated a golden core realm powerhouse long before she fought him. She refused to believe it. If given another chance, she was certain she could kill Fang Chen. Until Fang Chen spoke the man's name, he is the first disciple of the Taishang Sect, called Lu Xinghe. It's him. Black Lotus lifted her head with great difficulty, her eyes filled with utter shock. That was Lu Xinghe, the strongest male disciple of the Taishang Sect, a golden core realm cultivator. As a former disciple of the Taishang Sect, Black Lotus had always kept close tabs on the sect's movements, and she was more than familiar with Lu Xinghe's intelligence. That man was a true dragon of the current generation, his strength unfathomable. Black Lotus had long admitted she could hardly defeat him, yet he had lost to the youth before her. The last of her unwillingness faded like the receding tide, and she said bitterly, "In that case, my loss is well deserved." Fang Chen nodded, "So, rest in peace and go on your way." The sword rose and fell, and a severed head went flying, rolling right to the feet of Zhang Zumu, who had just arrived at the battlefield. She stared blankly at Black Lotus' severed head, feeling as if she were trapped in a dream. The infamous Black Lotus had died at the hands of Fang Chen, who possessed no spirit root. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, even if her own parents had told her this, she would have thought they had gone mad to spout such absurd nonsense. Looking at Fang Chen, who was slowly wiping his black sword clean, Zhang Zumu no longer held a shred of her previous arrogant air. She swallowed lightly, stepped forward carefully, and greeted him actively, "F. Fang, junior brother." Fang Chen said in surprise, "Senior sister Zhang, didn't you leave? Why have you come back again?" Zhang Zumu and the group of female disciples behind her immediately grew awkward. Why had they come back? Naturally, they had come to save Fang Chen, but who could have guessed Fang Chen would be this extraordinarily powerful? In the time it had taken them to rush over, he had already easily disposed of Black Lotus, rendering their rescue entirely pointless. Zhang Zumu laughed awkwardly. "As long as junior brother Fang is unharmed, I can rest easy." Fang Chen gave a nod, sheathed his sword, turned around and spoke, "We press on with our journey." "Junior brother Fang, are you not taking Black Lotus's head?" Zhang Zumu reminded. "She is a wanted criminal by both our Spirit Beast Sect and the Taishang Sect. The items offered as bounty are of immense value, on top of the official reward sum." Fang Chen asked calmly, "What is the bounty offered by the Spirit Beast Sect?" A look of envy crossed Zhang Zumu's face as she said, "It is an entire bottle of Earth Phoenix grass marrow." The moment the 4 words Earth Phoenix grass marrow left her mouth, choosing Meng cried out in shock, "The Spirit Beast Sect is being extraordinarily generous. The bounty from my Taishang Sect is merely a mid-grade foundation establishment elixir." Xinghe also wore a shocked expression. "I heard that even within your esteemed sect, Earth Phoenix grass marrow is a reward only a tiny handful of elite disciples are fortunate enough to receive. To offer it as a bounty is truly unexpected." Zhang Zumu took out a cloth sack, placed Black Lotus's head inside, and handed it to Fang Chen, saying, "Black Lotus has caused far too much calamity. Several disciples of our Spirit Beast Sect were brutally murdered by her, so our sect master flew into a rage and raised the bounty to a bottle of Earth Phoenix grass marrow. Even so, no one has managed to claim this bounty for years." "Congratulations, junior brother Fang." Fang Chen's expression shifted as he took it. Gong Kei had once given him Earth Phoenix grass juice, which was only effective for cultivators in the early and mid stages of the Foundation Establishment realm, and had negligible effects once one reached the late Foundation Establishment realm. But Earth Phoenix grass marrow is different. This substance is the essence extracted from a vast quantity of Earth Phoenix grass juice. Only elite disciples of the Spirit Beast Sect are worthy of using it, and it never circulates in the outside world. With a full bottle of Earth Phoenix grass marrow, he would definitely be able to break through to the 8th layer of Foundation Establishment. He had not expected that he had almost missed this opportunity. At this thought, his gaze fell on Black Lotus's corpse. As a bandit who had wreaked havoc for a decade, she should have quite a few valuable items on her person, should she not? He stepped forward immediately, but did not rashly search her body. Instead, he picked up Black Lotus's black curved blade and carefully used the tip of the blade to lift open Black Lotus's robes from a small distance away. The moment he barely lifted the robes open, a hissing sound rang out, and a blood, red venomous snake as long as an index finger abruptly shot out, biting fiercely onto the curved blade. The highly toxic venom it spat out corroded the mid-grade magical artifact Black Blade so badly that green smoke billowed off its surface. Fang Chen reacted with lightning speed. He shook the Black Blade fiercely, unleashing a powerful blade kai that sliced the small venomous snake clean in two. The crowd looked at the ghastly corrosion marks on the Black Blade, and all of them felt their scalps go numb. A mid-grade magical artifact could be corroded to this extent, which showed just how ferocious the snake's venom was. If anyone had rashly searched her body just now, the consequences would have been unthinkable. A chill ran down Zhang Zumu's spine, and she turned to look at Fang Chen, filled with sincere admiration. Fang Chen was younger than her, but his wealth of experience made her feel deeply ashamed. She somewhat understood now why her master thought so highly of Fang Chen. She could not help but imitate her master's manner, turning to educate the group of junior sisters behind her. See that, learn from this. When you are out traveling in the future, you must be cautious above all else. Otherwise, you will not even know how you die. The junior sisters nodded one after another, their gazes toward Fang Chen filled with reverence. If it were them, they would definitely have been tempted by the potentially amazing relics hidden on Black Lotus's body, lost their sense of vigilance, and rashly gone to search her person. Yet Fang Chen, despite possessing such formidable strength, still acted with such careful prudence. This was a profound lesson for them, one that would benefit them for their entire lives. After multiple attempts to thoroughly confirm that there were no other hidden weapons on her body, Fang Chen finally stripped all the items off her person. Most of them were healing spiritual herbs, as well as natural treasures and rare materials native to the mountain ranges. While they were worth a fair amount of money, they were of no great use to him. Only one item caught his attention, a small wooden box wrapped in oil paper. After carefully opening it, Fang Chen was shocked to find a crystal token with a face value of 100,000 spirit stones. Good heavens, how many people had she robbed over all these years to accumulate such a huge amount of spirit stones? He took it unceremoniously, only to discover that underneath the crystal token there was also a palm-sized piece of cloth. When he touched it, it was ice, cold and silky, its material somewhat similar to silk satin, yet it had a metallic sheen, and its surface was completely blank. A pensive look crossed Fang Chen's face. If it were a useless piece of cloth, Black Lotus would never have stored it together with the 100,000 spirit stone crystal token, right? He did not have time to study it for now, so he simply stored it away along with the rest of the items. As for the remaining goods, Fang Chen glanced at Zhang Zumu, the group of junior sisters, as well as Qin Ke and Chu Xingmeng, and said, "Split these remaining items among yourselves." Zhang Zumu was taken aback. "Junior brother, these spiritual herbs and heavenly treasures are worth over 10,000 spirit crystals." Little did she know, Fang Chen had just claimed a crystal token inscribed with a denomination of 100,000 spirit crystals. Not to mention, he carried several more such tokens on his person. These trinkets were even a nuisance to carry, so he said, "Split them all, no need to stand on ceremony." Zhang Zumu was overjoyed and immediately divided the goods equally among everyone present. Even after equal distribution, each person received goods worth 1,000 spirit crystals. "Thank you, junior brother Fang." Zhang Zumu was grinning from ear to ear. They had barely left the sect, and she had already gained 1,000 spirit crystals for free, a reward higher than that of a Tier 2 mission. She now understood all the more why their master favored Fang Chen so much. Who could dislike someone who hands out 1,000 spirit crystals on a whim? Qin Ke also wore a face full of joy, bowing repeatedly and saying, "Thank you, junior brother Fang," her beautiful eyes fixed on Fang Chen, glinting with unhidden admiration. Not only was he handsome, his strength was extraordinary, and on top of that, he was incredibly generous. Comparing him to Lu Xinghe, whom she had admired for so long, she suddenly realized how shallow her perspective had been to ever think Lu Xinghe was particularly outstanding. "You are too kind," Fang Chen smiled, turning to Zhang Zumu and saying, "Senior sister Zhang, we shall meet again." Zhang Zumu cupped her hands in salute. "Take care." The two caravans set off, heading in opposite directions. After an unknown amount of time, Lu Xinghe slowly regained consciousness. Finding no one around him, he jolted awake with a start. "I'm still alive. Where is Black Lotus?" It took him a long while to calm his nerves, and he began heading toward the Spirit Beast Sect. No matter what, the ambush on the caravan had to be reported to the Spirit Beast Sect, lest he be accused of embezzling the 3 cartloads of supplies for himself. But he had not walked far when he suddenly spotted a headless corpse. Recognizing the clothing immediately, he drew a sharp breath. Black Lotus was killed. Recalling that Black Lotus had gone to settle the score with the mighty expert who had slaughtered all her subordinates, he immediately understood what had happened and exclaimed in shock, "What kind of divine being is that expert? He can even kill Black Lotus." He had fought Black Lotus personally, so he knew her true cultivation realm. She was a genuine golden core realm cultivator, yet even she had been killed. At this thought, he could not help but shiver and quickened his pace toward the Spirit Beast Sect. He had only been traveling for half a day when, before night fell, he spotted Fang Chen's caravan setting up camp and was immediately overjoyed. "Junior Sister Qin, Junior Sister Chu, you are both unharmed." He stared at the two women in stunned amazement, unable to believe they had escaped unscathed against so many Black Lotus pirates. Then he noticed Fang Chen was also unharmed, and his mood soured immediately. "You're also fine. Your luck is truly absurdly good." Chu Xingmeng sighed softly, feeling no joy at his return. She held no goodwill whatsoever toward this team leader who had fled at the first sign of danger, leaving them at the mercy of the robbers. Qin Ke was also thoroughly disappointed in him and said sharply without holding back, "Senior brother Lu's luck is even better to be able to escape Black Lotus's pursuit. Impressive, truly. Impressive." Catching the sarcasm in her words, Lu Xinghe looked awkward for a moment, then argued, I wasn't running away. I was luring Black Lotus away. Otherwise, no matter how powerful that senior was, he could not have faced Black Lotus and all her subordinates at the same time." Perhaps, sensing how full of holes his excuse was even to himself, he quickly changed the subject. "Where is that senior? I must properly thank him for saving the two junior sisters' lives." Qin Ke and Chu Xingmeng both rolled their eyes, not bothering to respond to him, leaving Lu Xinghe awkwardly out in the cold. Just then his stomach rumbled loudly. He had been exhausted all day without a single drop of water or bite of food, and his belly was already completely empty. Seeing Qin Ke and Chu Xingmeng sitting by the campfire, each roasting a freshly hunted rabbit, the golden, skinned rabbits sizzled with fat as they roasted, releasing an enticing aroma, and he swallowed hard. He said, "Junior sisters, could you share a bit with me?" Chu Xingmeng pretended not to hear him, picked up the fully roasted rabbit, blew on it gently, and held it to Fang Chen's lips. "Junior brother Fang, you worked the hardest. This is for you." Lu Xinghe then turned to look at Qin Ke, smiling and saying, "Junior sister, share some with your senior brother. I'm starving." Chu Xingmeng has no sense. She's followed Fang Chen's every order the entire journey, so it's understandable she won't give me any. But you never had any good impression of Fang Chen. Surely you won't give yours to him too. Who would have guessed that as soon as he leaned over, Qin Ke stood up and sat down next to Fang Chen, holding her rabbit to his lips affectionately. "Junior brother Fang, I roasted this for you. Have a taste." Lu Xinghe could barely believe his eyes. He had only been gone for a single day. How could junior sister Qin also be so fond of Fang Chen? "Junior sister, how can you take the side of an outsider?" Lu Xinghe said discontentedly. Qin Ke glanced at him and said flatly, "Apologies, you are the outsider here." With that, she tore off a piece of rabbit meat, blew gently to cool it, then held it to Fang Chen's lips, her tone carrying a hint of coquetry. "Junior brother Fang, do me a favor, won't you?" Lu Xinghe could not believe his eyes. How could this gentle, coquettish female disciple before him be his own arrogant, snobbish junior sister? "Fang Chen, what bewitching soup have you fed them?" Lu Xinghe snapped angrily. Qin Ke's brows furrowed sharply as she drew her sword and snapped, "I forbid you from speaking to junior brother Fang like that. If you take issue with this, get out of the team. Without you, our journey will be far smoother." Though Chu Xingmeng said nothing, she made her identical stance clear. If Lu Xinghe had not been so conceited, ignoring Fang Chen's advice and insisting on entering the mountain range, they would never have fallen into danger at all. Now that they had escaped with their lives, he wanted to act as the team's leader again, who would submit to him. Staring at junior sister Qin, who had drawn her sword against him, Lu Xinghe seethed with rage, pointing repeatedly at Fang Chen. "Fine, you're capable. You want to be the captain, is that it? Let's see how you explain yourself when you reach the Spirit Beast Sect. I'm telling you, the disciples of the Spirit Beast Sect are not easy to deal with, without my connections there to cover for you. Those 3 carts of spiritual medicine will never be accepted smoothly." Qin Ke frowned. Where there are people, there are worldly customs and human relationships, and every sect is the same. They had successfully escorted the spiritual medicine, but during the handover, there was no guarantee the other side would not make things difficult to demand benefits. If the handover failed, the task would not count as completed. Not only would they miss out on the merit points from the task, but they would also be delayed from taking the next task. Many Myriad Sword Sect disciples had discussed this matter long ago, agreeing it was unavoidable. Before now, she had not worried about this. This was because Lu Xinghe had an elder cousin in the Spirit Beast Sect who was said to hold a very high position. If she stepped forward, the task handover would proceed extremely smoothly. Remembering this now, she broke into a smile again, holding up the roasted rabbit as she said cheerfully, "Senior brother, I was only joking. Why are you taking it so seriously? We'll still have to rely on you during the task handover, won't we?" She glanced out of the corner of her eye at Fang Chen, feeling that she could finally repay a little of the favor she owed him. But that subtle glance was caught by Lu Xinghe. Lu Xinghe flew into a rage immediately, slapping the roasted rabbit away and roaring, "What benefits has Fang Chen given you to make you this loyal? You're actually begging me for his sake. I've never gotten this kind of treatment from you before. Why does Fang Chen deserve it?" He snarled viciously, "Fang, don't even think about me using my connections to help you. I want to see just how badly you humiliate yourself." Fang Chen flicked his sleeve to wave away the spittle flying toward his face, frowning as he said, "You don't need to worry about that. Everyone knows at least 1 or 2 people in the Spirit Beast Sect, don't they?" Learning that Fang Chen had connections in the Spirit Beast Sect, Qin and Chu Xing, Meng's eyes lit up. But then they wondered, could the person Fang Chen was referring to be Zhang Zumu, but she had already left a long time ago. Lu Xinghe let out a sneer. "You're a useless trash with no spiritual root. What level of disciple could you possibly know? The disciples in charge of handovers are all elites of the Spirit Beast Sect. Not any random stray cat or dog can get a word in with them." Fang Chen smiled faintly. Was Gong Kei considered some random stray cat or dog? Several days later, Fang Chen and his group, covered in dust from the road, arrived at the Spirit Beast Sect. Mist and haze swirled within the sect, with pavilions and towers appearing and disappearing from view. Occasionally, a female disciple in flowing, colorful robes would be glimpsed through the fog, and the ethereal aura of a heavenly, immortal realm washed over all who approached. A brilliant light shone in Chu Xing, Meng's beautiful eyes. "I have long heard that the Spirit Beast Sect is an immortal land on Earth. Seeing it now, it certainly lives up to its reputation." Qin also wore an expression of envy as she said, "The Spirit Beast Sect follows a cultivation path of taming demonic beasts to fight alongside them. While the disciples themselves may not be overly strong, paired with their demonic beasts, they can often stand unrivaled among cultivators of the same realm, making them truly unique among the 9 great sects. I wanted to join the Spirit Beast Sect very much back then, but I lacked the talent for training demonic beasts, so I never got the chance to enter its gates." Listening to the 2 women's expressions of longing, Lu Xinghe mocked them mercilessly. "Stop daydreaming about all that useless stuff. Let's get through the task handover first, shall we?" He sat on the back of his spirit beast, hands tucked into his sleeves, putting on an air of being completely unconcerned and refusing to lift a finger to help. Fang Chen calmly drove the horse carriage, stepping through the gates of the Spirit Beast Sect. "Who goes there?" A group of remarkably powerful disciples guarded the sect's outer gate, their cultivation ranging from the 6th layer of foundation, establishment, realm to the 8th layer of foundation, establishment. Realm all wore colorful robes, looking bright and lively, but their expressions were far from friendly. When they noticed the group was escorting cargo, clearly here to complete a task, their faces turned even stiffer, putting on an air of being extremely difficult to deal with. Fang Chen cupped his hands in greeting and said, "We are here to complete a spiritual medicine escort task. Please have your noble sect inspect and receive the goods." Among the female disciples, one wearing a phoenix hairpin, with dignified features and a commanding aura, stepped forward. She appeared to be around 20 years old and had the highest cultivation among the group, reaching the 8th layer of foundation establishment realm. She was Song Biyao of the Spirit Beast Sect, responsible for receiving task teams from all sects. She spoke, "Please present your task jade slips." From the expressions on her face and the faces of the female disciples behind her, even the naive Chu Xing Meng could tell that the handover would not go smoothly. Fang Chen calmly took out the task jade slip and handed it to her. Song Biyao collected the jade slips from the 4 of them, checked the contents within, and curled her lip imperceptibly. It was only a tier 3 task, she thought to herself. Those who complete low-level tasks are naturally low cultivation disciples with barely any money on them. But she clung to the thought that even a mosquito's leg was still meat. She nodded and said, "The jade slip records 3,000 sets of medicine for spirit beasts. Wenjun, Xiangyang, inspect the 3 carriages of spiritual medicine to check if the count is correct, and if there is any damage." 2 capable-looking female disciples immediately opened the carriages, rather roughly tossing sack after sack of spiritual medicine onto the ground. Qin and Chu Xing Meng grew secretly anxious. Each portion of medicinal elixir inside the burlap sack was individually wrapped in paper. Being tossed so roughly onto the ground could easily tear or damage the paper wrappings, and once that happened, it would be impossible to prove whether the damage stemmed from their negligent escorting or the rough handling here? Lu Xinghe watched leisurely, a mocking smile playing on his face. He could not wait to see how Fang Chen would dig himself out of this mess. In his mind, Fang Chen would definitely humble himself first to say flattering words, then senior sister Song Biao would take the chance to reprimand him a few times, and Fang Chen would act like a wronged, timid young bride, obediently handing over a portion of spirit crystals to beg them to show mercy. The very thought of that scene filled Lu Xinghe with anticipation. To his utter astonishment, Fang Chen showed not the slightest sign of urgency and merely watched their violent inspection with complete calm. This made Song Biao realize something was amiss. Could this team leader be closely acquainted with some important figure in the sect? To avoid offending someone she could not afford to, she spoke in a strictly official tone. Bring over all your identity tokens as well for registration. She intended to confirm if any of the 4 people held an extraordinary status. A female disciple stepped forward, collected all their identity tokens, and handed them to Song Biao for registration. Chu Xingmeng from the Grand Supreme Sect. She recited the name with a blank expression. The Grand Supreme Sect was indeed immensely famous, ranking among the top 3 most powerful sects, but this was the territory of the Spirit Beast Sect, so they held no sway over her people. Xinghe from the Myriad Swords Sect. Her expression remained completely impassive, for the Myriad Swords Sect was even less renowned than the Grand Supreme Sect. Only when she read out the 3rd name did her expression shift. Lu Xinghe from the Myriad Swords Sect. A look of surprise crossed Song Biao's face as she asked, "You are senior sister Yi, Ling Xing's cousin, right? Are you not at the 7th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm? Why are you carrying out a 3rd rank mission?" Lu Xinghe leaped off his spirit beast with a smile and cupped his fists in greeting. "I did not expect senior sister Song to know of me." Song Biao, who was on good terms with Yi Ling Xing, smiled faintly and said, "Your cousin often mentions you, saying you are a heaven-sent genius with boundless prospects ahead of you." Lu Xinghe laughed and replied, "My cousin praises me too highly. Senior sister Song should not take her words too seriously." Since he was the cousin of an acquaintance, Song Biao had no intention of making things difficult for them. She waved at the 2 female disciples inspecting the goods and said, "These are all our own people, no need to check so thoroughly. Just count the total number of items, and that will suffice." Hearing this, Xinghe and Chu Xingmeng breathed a long sigh of relief. They had finally passed the checkpoint, and it was all thanks to Lu Xinghe's connections in the end. "Thank you for your mercy, senior sister." Lu Xinghe took out a pouch of spirit crystals and stuffed it into her hand, saying, "The weather is sweltering. Buy some spirit tea for yourself and other senior sisters to enjoy." Song Biao looked at him approvingly and said, "No wonder your cousin is always talking about you. It seems you are not only talented in martial cultivation, but also remarkably adept at handling social interactions." As she spoke, she glanced at Fang Chen with a frown, "But with you in the team, why is he the captain?" She had thought Fang Chen's unflappable demeanor came from a lofty status, but it turned out he was just relying on Lu Xinghe's influence. Having stolen the limelight in front of everyone, Lu Xinghe finally let out the pent-up frustration he had been holding for so long. He spoke in a sarcastic, mocking tone. He is incredibly capable. With just a few sweet words, he bewitched the 2 junior sisters in the team into agreeing to make him their captain. If he likes being captain so much, we might as well let him have the position. Upon learning that Fang Chen had stepped over Lu Xinghe to become captain by sweet talking girls, Song Biao felt a surge of disgust. He must be from the Joyous Union Sect, right? Male disciples from the Joyous Union Sect are extremely skilled at charming girls. Lu Xinghe laughed loudly, more than happy to publicly expose Fang Chen's background. He is even more capable than Joyous Union Sect disciples. For he is the direct disciple of the Qingyun Sect's sect master, and his name is Fang Chen. He had expected Song Biao to immediately recall the rumors about the cultivator with no spiritual roots, but to his surprise, Song Biao froze and asked in shock, "Wait, what did you say his name is?" "Fang Chen." Seeing Song Biao's strange reaction, Lu Xinghe asked curiously, "Yes, that Fang Chen, the one without spiritual roots." Song Biao looked completely disbelieving and quickly picked up the last identity token to look at it repeatedly, exclaiming in surprise, "It really is Fang Chen from Qingyun Sect. Come quickly, junior sisters, this is junior brother, Fang Chen." Several female disciples immediately crowded over with faces full of curiosity, glancing between the identity token and Fang Chen, sizing him up as they whispered among themselves. "So this is Fang Chen, the one junior sister Yuan cannot stop thinking about. Ever since she came back from Qingyun Sect, she has been like a lost soul. She would be in the middle of cultivating her cultivation method, then suddenly sigh and mutter Fang Chen's name. She would be practicing her swordplay, then sigh again and mutter Fang Chen's name. For the past month, she has not been able to focus on her cultivation at all, always chanting his name like she is possessed. Fang Chen is so handsome, no wonder junior sister Yuan is infatuated with him, who would not be charmed by someone that good-looking. Fang Chen rubbed his nose. The junior sister Yuan they were talking about was probably Yuan Jiu, the one who had gone to Qingyan sect with Gong Kei. They had also clearly misunderstood Yuan Jiu. She was not infatuated with him. She had just been utterly crushed by Fang Chen's multitude of talents, and had developed such a deep sense of defeat that she could not summon the motivation to do anything. Junior sisters, you have misunderstood. There is nothing between junior sister Yuan and I, Fang Chen explained. But Songbi, Yao covered her mouth and giggled. Of course, we understand perfectly. Understand my ass. Fang Chen was speechless. Could that master and disciple pair of Gong Kei do anything right? One of them kept dragging him into feuds, and the other kept spreading ridiculous rumors about him. He was completely fed up with the both of them. Fang Chen had no desire to linger any longer. He intended to report his mission completion as quickly as possible, exchange the Black Lotus bounty immediately after submitting his report, and depart without delay. The heavenly Tao alone knew what even more outlandish rumors would spread across the spirit beast sect if he remained any further. He changed the subject, cupped his hands in a formal salute, and said, I beg the indulgence of the senior sisters. Please finish counting the goods swiftly. This junior brother still has pressing matters to attend to. Watching his flustered, eager to flee demeanor, Song Biao and the other female disciples found it all the more amusing and broke into quiet, shared snickers. Amusement glinted in Song Biao's eyes as she spoke. Since these spirit medicines were personally escorted by junior brother Fang, what need is there for inspection? All of you, sign for the spirit medicines at once. Do not delay junior brother Fang from handling his important affairs. She deliberately enunciated the final 3 words with heavy emphasis, the unspoken implication being that Fang Chen was rushing to meet his beloved Yuan Jiu. The group of female disciples laughed so hard their eyes crinkled into thin slits. The crowd signed for all the goods in quick order, and only then did Songbi, I'll return the mission jade slip to Fang Chen, her expression turning serious as she said, Congratulations, junior brother. Fang, your mission is complete. Our sect has already recorded this mission in our official registers. At the end of the month, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion will tally the number of missions you have completed based on these records and aggregate your total merit points. Fang Chen nodded slightly. He said, I thank you, senior sister Song. Songbi Yao smiled once more. If we had known it was you, we would never have made things difficult for you. This senior sister had no other choice. Several teams from our spirit beast sect were harshly obstructed at other sects, so we thought to give other groups a hard time to make up for our losses. Who could have guessed we would end up offending one of our own by mistake? After a moment of thought, she took out the sack of spirit crystals belonging to Lu Xinghe, tossed it to him casually, and said, Since this is junior brother Fang's team, we cannot accept these spirit crystals. Lu Xinghe was stunned, standing frozen, as he clutched the money pouch. Fang Chen had actually resolved the handover, impasse purely through his own connections, and he, Lu Xinghe, was now indebted to Fang Chen, their team captain. This filled him with unbearable frustration. What stoked his rage even further was Qin Kei's gloating laugh. Senior brother Lu, were junior sister Chu and I not correct? It makes no difference whether you are part of this team or not. Oh, I misspoke. Having you around only brings more trouble. Lu Xinghe could not endure such humiliation. He strode forward, raised his palm, and swung it viciously toward her, roaring as he did so, You ungrateful, wretched cur, you are asking for a beating. Qin Kei was only at the 5th layer of the Foundation establishment realm.